Welcome to the Deep Dives, where we get you smart fast. Today, we're tackling a pretty significant topic, the recent U.S. policy shifts affecting international students.
Yeah, it's definitely been in the news.
We got some key information here, and our mission, really, is to understand why these students matter so much to the U.S. and what the fallout from these changes might be. I mean, just think about this. Last month, April 2025, the Trump administration suddenly pulled the legal status for thousands of international students.
Right, based on that government database issue.
Exactly. It caused, well, chaos, forced departures, until DHS had to reverse course because the courts found it baseless.
And that wasn't in isolation, was it? There was that broader push for tougher vetting.
Yeah, the AI social media monitoring plan from March comes to mind. So,
Yeah.
okay, let's unpack why this is such a big deal.
Well, it's interesting because there's this tension, right, between wanting more scrutiny and the reality on the ground. Historically, the U.S. was the top spot for international students. But our global share, it's dropped from 28% in 2001 down to just 16% now.
16%, that's a big drop.
It is. Signals a potential erosion of our, dominance in attracting global talent. But still, even with that drop, we had over 1 million international students here in 2023, 2024, mostly from China and India.
Yeah.
And here's the key thing. They're heavily, heavily concentrated in STEM graduate degrees. The National Science Foundation data shows they're a major presence in master's and doctoral programs in science, tech, engineering, math.
So, strategically vital then, not just numbers.
Precisely. They're really important for maintaining America's edge in science and tech.
Right, so it's clear they're important.
Yeah.
But it's not like they just show up, right?
Well,
What kind of screening do they already go through? It sounds like a lot.
Oh, it is. It's extensive. First, they need to get accepted into a school that's authorized by DHS.
Okay.
Then they face national security checks at the U.S. Embassy in their home country. Sometimes there's even extra administrative processing, more checks if flagged.
More checks.
And that's before they even get here. On arrival, Customs and Border Protection does its own screening. Some students even get pulled for secondary inspections.
Wow.
And it doesn't stop there. Once they're studying, they have to stay enrolled full-time, report any changes, address, major, whatever, within 10 days. The rules are strict.
10 days. Okay.
And for those doing post-graduation STEM training, the optional practical training, or OPT, there's even more oversight. Employer certifications, potential site visits from immigration officials.
So, given all those checks already in place, let's talk about the payoff for the U.S. What do these students actually bring? Economically, for starters.
Huge impact. In the 2023-2024 academic year alone, they pumped about $43.8 billion into the U.S. economy.
Billion. With a B.
With a B, yeah. And that supported roughly 378,000 American jobs.
That's significant.
It really is. But it goes beyond just the direct cash. They're crucial for innovation.
How so?
Well, consider this. International students or grads founded 25% of U.S. billion-dollar startups.
A quarter. Like the big names.
Think SpaceX, Moderna, OpenAI. Founders often came here as students. It shows this, outsized impact they have.
Especially when you consider the STEM gap.
Exactly. Only about 3.2% of U.S. high school grads go into STEM fields, but international students, they make up 45% of the STEM PhD holders currently in the U.S. workforce. They're vital.
45%.
Yeah. And there was a report just last year, 2024, warning that these kinds of restrictive policies plus global competition are seriously hurting our ability to attract and keep that talent.
Which leads to another point, doesn't it? It's not just about money or patents. There's this global influence aspect, soft power.
Absolutely. These students build global networks. They often become leaders back home or in international organizations. Think about it. The U.S. has educated more world leaders than any other country. When we seem less welcoming, we risk pushing that talent, those future connections, maybe even future leaders, towards competitor nations.
Which makes that whole America First angle seem,
well,
paradoxical.
how do you mean?
Well, the Trump administration really emphasized boosting the U.S. economy, ensuring technological supremacy.
Right.
But then these policies seem to directly undermine that by deterring the very international talent that fuels innovation and contributes economically. It feels like a contradiction.
It certainly highlights a tension. You want dominance, but the actions potentially weaken the foundations of that dominance, especially the human capital part. And, we can't ignore the global competition aspect either.
Other countries are actively recruiting, right?
Definitely. Places like Germany, South Korea, Canada, too, they often have more straightforward visa processes, clear paths to staying and working after graduation, they're becoming really attractive alternatives.
So summing it up, we have students who go through intense vetting, contribute massively to the economy, drive a huge amount of innovation, especially in STEM, and build global bridges.
That's the picture. Yeah.
It really seems clear what's potentially lost here.
I think the main takeaway is that international students aren't just, temporary visitors. They are pretty fundamental to the U.S.'s economic strength and its leadership in technology. These recent policies really put that foundation at risk.
Which leaves us with a big question for you, the listener, to think about. Considering all this, the tough screening already happening, the huge contributions these students make, what are the real costs, maybe beyond just the dollars and cents, of policies that create a less welcoming environment?
Yeah, what's the long-term impact on America's standing, its influence, its innovation capacity down the road?
Definitely something worth mulling over. Thanks for diving deep with us today.